let's go to this scenario that we started yesterday. We have Umoja that has an approved project, protection of civilians in Somalia, funded by 2 donors, Government of Australia and Government of Denmark. So, the donors require reporting on pool expenditures, and the office has an interagency agreement with UNDP to implement part of the project. At this stage, I would like to just to mention very quickly how, just let me change the screen. Okay. How the implementing partners are, the disbursements are made, how they are, let's say, given the amount coming from the grant to implement this part of the project or a project. I will mention it very quickly because this process is under review. In fact, there are going to be some changes related to this implementing partner disbursements. So just let me explain you up to my latest knowledge what we knew. And a specific purchase order is created. There is a specific type of purchase order called set GPT, and there is a set of product IDs to create this specific purchase order that is are related with implementing partner. So this is the process. Then a down payment is raised in the system with a special yield indicator. And in this down payment, we will reference the purchase order that we have previously created. It's a specific kind of purchase order. You know, it's not a common purchase order. And we will specify the purchase order, the grant, the fund, our 333 or external fund, and the WBS element that we are going, if there is a project in place, okay? And then, upon reception of the report from the implementing partner, when the implementing partner has performed the activities that were supposed to be done by these implementing partners, then the grant management accounts user creates a service entry sheet to record these expenses reported by the implementing partner. And at the very, very end, with the MRRL process, we create a kind of invoice that will credit the vendor and debit the goods receipt account with a specific payment block to avoid, or let's say, for not to pay double to this implementing partner. Okay. So this is the process, how it's done. As I mentioned, this is going to change. That's why we didn't want to create any document for you guys. If you need to do it in a quick way, you don't know how to, come back to us. We will assist you with the process up to the moment that it will be changed, that we don't know exactly how it will be. So this is what we know. This is what we share. And now we are going back to our exercise. Any doubt regarding this? No? Okay. So let's go to our exercise. Yesterday we saw the master data that is going to be involved in this process. We saw that we will create one resource mobilization grant per sponsor or donor, and one revenue internal order to receive or record this receivable in our revenue account. Sorry. Then we will have as well a project, because the specification on the donor agreement, there is already a project in place. And in this project, we will track the expenses for this, let's say, grant. And then we will have a P grant that is always required when we have an implementing partner in place. So we will have this P grant, and we will use a WBS element within this project to track the implementing partner expenditures. Okay? So this is the master data related to grants and cost elements and project as well involved. And let's see how the process is going to be. What are we going to do in the system? This is longer than the one that we saw yesterday. We have 2 donors, but we could have n donors. This is, you know, in this case we have 2, donor 1 and donor 2. And we have a project in place. So we are going to create a sponsor program to implement this whole these agreements with the donors and this grants structure in our Umoja system. First of all, we will create the first resource mobilization grant for this donor and a revenue internal order to receive the income or in our grant, let's say, and they will be linked together. Once we will link them, this is exactly as we saw yesterday, the sales order will be automatically created by the system, and then we will be ready to do the billing process to create the receivable in our accounting and to track this amount or this income in our revenue account. We will create a second resource mobilization grant for the second donor and a revenue internal order as well, exactly as in the previous case, to track. So sales order will be created once both of them are linked, and we will perform the billing as well for this grant. So what else? We have to create our main implementation grant that will share, let's say, the expenditures of both related to both contributions. And remember, we only have, when we are talking about pool expenditures, one unique main implementation grant linked to all the resource mobilizations grants that we have. So we will link them, okay? And we will create, exactly as we did for the simple grant, an unreleased budget, how we will distribute this budget. We will link this M grant to one cost element. It could be an internal order for expenditures, as we saw in the exercise from yesterday, but in this specific example, we are going to link it to a WBS element within a project. And here in this green part, let's say, of the project is one specific WBS element or several WBS elements. We will track the expenditures related to this implementation of grants, okay? So we will link this project to our sponsor program as well. And once we have this WBS element properly linked to our grant or sponsor program, we then are able to release the budget. We will release the budget, see, in this specific green part, and we will create then a P grant or pass-through grant that will be the one related to our implementing partner or the part of this project that we are going to, let's say, give to an NGO or to a different agency to take care of. So this P grant will be linked as well to the expenditures or the cost object related to expenditures and linked as well to our M grant. So yeah, there will be an objects mapping of the objects to link this grant with this other grant, and we will update the overhead costs. We will see them through the process, and at the very end, we have to put some money specifically for this part of the project that the implementing partner is taking care of. So we'll do, a transfer of budget from the M grant to the P grant. This budget will be allocated here in the project to be expensed by the implementing partner. Okay, so this is the process of today. It's a little bit longer, so we are going to start. If you agree, do you have any doubt in this? All the steps that we are going to. It's clear? Okay. No question, Annie?
No, so far no.
Oh, sorry. No,
no break.
No 5-minute breaks. No. So first thing that we have to do is to check in the system that these two sponsors that we have the proper role in the system. This is done with the T code BP to check the BP record. I'm not going to do it, but first we should ensure that this is done. It should be, but just for your knowledge. So now let me log in because I'm logged in as a GM user. Let me bring this window here. again. Now I'm going to be a GM user because I'm going to create the sponsor program that we are going to need to implement all these donors or these two donors agreement in our system. So let me check. This is my
Yes, so it's explaining the system. Just be aware that I will be putting in small kind of like bullet points the basics in a way kind of like a script of what she's doing, so if we can run in parallel both explanations, right? So first I put that first we have to check the VP for both donors. That's already checked. It's assumed that we did. Secondly, GM user creates the sponsor program for the donors, the pooled fund. So it's on chat, and then we will go step by step in a very basic way, but then we can just download that part and you can put it some sort of like a cheat sheet that you can follow when you do the exercise. Over to you.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. And moreover, in the script, in the handwriting that you will receive, everything is properly detailed. And I just want you to mention, I want to mention you something very important. The steps, we are taking these steps or following these steps in one specific order, but the order is not closed. You can create the air grant, the two air grants, and then create the two revenue internal orders, and afterwards link both of them, whatever. There are some points that need to be performed before doing it. For example, you need the billing to be done before releasing the budget. But some of the steps, especially the creation of the master data or the creation of the cost objects and the grants, can be done in parallel. Okay, so we are following this order, but you can, when you will finally connect all the points, you will see that this is not necessary. There are some things that need to happen before other actions, but not all the process is so strict. Okay, let's create the program in our system. GM program, if you remember, the sponsor program, let's say, is the T code GM program. So let me select Umoja. Let's take, I don't know, 50, 90. Okay, I will take one. You will receive the one that you have to use in the exercise, because you have to take one that is not taken. And in the training environment, sometimes it's not easy. Let me take one, this one for me, okay? Does not exist, perfect. So let me take it, this does not exist. So let's create it in the system, very good. Program description, this is going to be protection of civilians in Somalia. Okay, so this is the basic data. And we are going to check a validate budget transfer object. Okay, very good. Let's go now to the additional data tab. Here it is. And we will, these are steps that we already saw in the previous exercise. I will go faster because if not, we will not have time to cover everything. So we are going to create this new sponsor program difference with the previous one. Sorry, I am going to show you the T code here. Difference with the previous one, this scenario that we are facing now is not a framework one. Why? Because we have more than one donors. They require report on pool expenditure. So this is a framework 2. So a sponsor program type will be 200. SP classification will be humanitarian affairs, exactly as the one that we created before. Voluntary contribution fund will be as well our 32 fund. And the geography of the beneficiary, the country, in this case is going to be Somalia. Let me check if it's SM. Sorry, I made a mistake. I will look for it. Somalia, I selected, where it is, Somalia, here should be, SO, sorry. Okay, so this is the main information that we have to populate in the system to create the sponsor program. At this stage, later on, we will have to update it properly to link all the master data together, but this is what we did. Now, let me take note of the number. So 00100. Okay. Next step, we have our sponsor program. We are going to create a resource mobilization R1 grant. Let's go there. This type of grant is new, so I will continue logged in as a GM user or creator in the substantive offices, but if the creator, the one that is created the grant, T-code to create a grant, GM grant, independently on the type of grant. It's the same T-code for all of them. I will click here on create, and I will type, in this case it's a resource mobilization 1 R1 -32 DDN dash, and I will leave the last part of the field empty. Grant type, resource mobilization grant. Okay? And a sponsor, in this case it will be the Government of Australia. I think it's the 7. Let's check this 7. So once we have this information, we can click on enter, and you see the data that we have to populate is mainly the same that in the previous one grant, but some differences are there. Let's go through them. More things that we have to put here. The authorization group, the company code is pre-populated. Authorization group will be 9 as well. And the name of the project is going to be Protection of Somalia. Sorry, this will be for Australia, because remember that we have 2 donors this time. And here, let's say protection, whatever. I will just copy and paste, not to waste time with this. Okay, so protection of civilian, but coming from the Australia. This is the part related to the Australian government. Currency, in this case, is US dollar. It could be a different one, because remember that the resource mobilization grant can be in any currency, and the grant value is going to be 1 million. Yeah, here it is. Okay, valid from date. I don't know. Let's take the same dates that we use for the other grants. First, from the S grant is just an example. Okay, so these are our days: 1st of January 2018, 21st December 2019. So up to here is mainly the same. The things that we did with the S grant. External reference. In the reference tab, let's move to the reference tab. This is, as I mentioned, the donor agreement ID. So I don't know. CFDA number. We explained that this is the level of granularity that we are going to have in the availability check. Internal reference. This is ASO, or the office tracking number. Let's say UN001, whatever. Okay. Grant value in US dollar is the 1 million that we decided. Substantive office is the fund center that is going to take care of this grant. The fund code here will be our 32 DDN as well. Okay, now we can continue. These fields are now open. Framework external reference, you see this is just to external or whatever, internal. As I mentioned, this part I'm going quickly because we already know what it is. Associate expert agreement needs to be checked. Sorry. And the dates, let me check this 1st of December 2000. Here, the same, let's say it's the same. Agreement start date and agreement end date will be, in this case, let's take the same date. So that's it. I think it's okay in this tab. Okay, these fields are not applicable just in this example. Let's move now. It's clear. I hope I'm maybe going too fast, but we did exactly the same in the previous grant creation. Responsibilities, we will just double check that the two approvers for the unreleased budget are there. Let's go now to a budget tab. Budget tab, the splitting rule is going to be 0001, life of the grant. Okay, let's go now to the billing one. Here we will select cash unconditional. See, as before, we have a box for our sales document that will be automatically generated by the system. Sales organization will be UN, distribution channel 06, and division 00. Okay, grants, distribution channel, and division general services and others. Okay. Here we have to type as well the amount, that it will be $1 million. Sorry, yeah, now it is. And we can jump into the next tab, that is the dimensions tab. In this case, as this resource mobilization grant is only, the aim is to collect the revenue, we are going to add only this 32 DDN or external funds. Okay. When I try to do it, the system is asking me for the sponsor class series ID. If you remember yesterday, we selected the SA1 because it was related to the simple grant. In this case, we are going to take the AR grant because we are creating a resource mobilization grant. This is a difference between the process that we saw yesterday. So, because we are creating a different type of grant, of course, so it makes sense. So we will click on enter, and the system, based on this series ID, will pre-populate all the fields. The fund that we have added is only the 32, the external fund, because this grant is, the aim is we collect the revenue, so it's just enough with this one. And we are going to add here our sponsor program as well to have it. Oh, let me here. The sponsor program is Umoja DDN 00100. Let me check that it's there and is the correct one, because many ones and zeros here. Yeah, protection of civilians in Somalia. So here we have it. Okay. What else? We don't need here to select IDC relevant sponsor classes, because we are not going to track any kind of expense, so we are not going to distribute budgets from here. So only we had to add the fund and the sponsor program to link it to our grant. So that's it for our grant. It's quite easier than the S1 grant. So that's it. We can change now to the Terms and Conditions tab. Terms and Conditions tab. IPSAS unconditional or conditional. Let's say in this case, example, IPSAS unconditional. Treatment of interest not specified. This depends on the donor agreement. So, and treatment on unspent balance. Let's say that is not specified for this specific grant. So let's move to the report. Sorry, to the report type here. The two types of report that we are going to select is the first and the second one. So I think I didn't leave anything. We didn't touch this supported object tab either, because these are the classes that are going to be budgeted. But again, this is a resource mobilization grant, only thought to track revenue, so we don't have to go through this process here. We will do this in the main implementation or M grant. Okay, so let's save our grant. Okay, warning, training environment. So we have our first resource mobilization grant from the Prime Minister of Australia created the 32 DDN and the ID 0008. It's 3 zeros, Danny? Can you 3 zeros or 4? 3. Okay. Okay. So I am here too. Thank you, because I don't see the screen. Okay, so we have our grant created. Next step. Let's go and change the status of the grant. If you don't mind, we will change the status of both grants or when we will have both of them created. So I will avoid to log off and log in and log off and log in again. So now the approver should change the status of the grant before performing the billing up to get the status approved by UN and approved by the sponsor. Okay?
Yeah, thank you. Emil, thank you for your question. He wants you to repeat why we can select an ITC relevant in an R1 grant.
Okay. The R1 grant is just a thought or created to track a revenue inside our grant system, let's say. So we are not going to do any kind of budget distribution or release of budget to this grant. The release of the budget will be done in the M grant. That's why in this, when we create this resource mobilization grant, we don't need to say which classes are going to be IDC relevant or which sponsor classes are going to be budgeted, because it doesn't make sense at this stage. We will just say that the fund that we are going to use to collect the revenue, and that's it. And we will link the sponsor program to our grant. That's it. That's the only two things that we did in the system where we created. I hope it is clear, Emil. Okay. So let's go, and we are going to create an internal order for revenue to receive this income from the donor. Do you remember, guys? We are users as GM account user, is this correct? So we will create now the internal order. The T code to create an internal order is key 001. And remember that we have a specific type of internal order for this, that is the, let me check if I can read it properly, is the 9010, here it is, GM revenue order. This is specific for grants, okay? So let's select this type, and again, we'll type the description, protection of civilian of Somalia for the Australian government. We will put this, and we will insert here the profit center, the responsible cost center, and the work start and end date. It's exactly as we did yesterday, so let me type these values. 31st December 2019. The system is deriving all the rest of information. And that's it. I think we can, no, yes, here, yes, sorry. I forgot to link, because we have to link this to our resource mobilization grant, that is 1812 here, and our sponsor program, that is ESO TDN 00100. So here we are. Now it's created, is the specific type for revenue. The assignments are done, and it's linked to our resource mobilization grant and our sponsor program. Now we are done. Only the country is SO Somalia of the beneficiary is needed, and now we can save this internal order for revenue. Just let me write the number 190.11064. Why is it important to write out this number? Because now we have to go back to our grant and type this number in the billing tab. Let's do that. Let's go again to our resource mobilization grant. Sorry, GM grant is the key code. Here we have, the system is defaulting the last one that we were using, so I will edit it, and let's go to the billing tab. And here will type the internal order for revenue is starting with 190 that we created. 11064. Okay. So we are going to save it. Okay. And you see, we don't have yet a sales document created because the status of the grant needs to be changed. So we are going to link it, and later on we will do this. We will change it to a Word operational for the 2 grants. Okay. So I don't know if we should do, what do you think, guys? To create both grants because it's exactly the same, or perform the billing first? No, let's create the second grant. Then you know that the steps can be done in parallel. Then you can see how this can be done. We cannot perform the billing yet because the status of the grant is not award operational. This will be done by the approver. I hope you are following me, even if I am jumping.
No, yeah. I think it's much better. So you do the 2 of them in case that someone missed the part of linking the program, the internal order, whatever. So we do it again.
Okay, so thank you, Danny. So let's go and create the second resource mobilization grant for the government. It was Australia and I don't know, Denmark, I think. Let's go. So we are still GM users and we are going to create a second resource mobilization grant. So let's go here, for example, grant, no, I can only edit, so let's go back. So GM grant again. Yep. And we are going to create a new one. It will be resource R1 as well. We will type the beginning of this. And careful because the sponsor will be a different one. This sponsor is going to be the 45. And very important, guys, here you have a copy from a let's say, utility that we can use. In this case, because it's an exercise and the data is invented, the amounts are the same, we are going to use it. In reality, when you will work with your grants, you have to be aware that when you copy a grant from a different one, it's very good if they share most of the data, but later you have to go through the copied one and review that the information is the right one and amend it in case it's necessary. So we are going to copy in this case, just for you to learn this as well, this functionality, but later on we will have to review properly that all the information for the second grant is correct. So we are going to copy from the one that we just created before, use it. So we have now a new grant linked to, sponsored by the Prime Minister of Denmark, and with exactly the same information that we typed for the previous one. So let's go and review. This is correct. This is our sponsor. The amount is the same, but probably this field should be changed when you do it in real life. We are going to leave the same dates. Reference. Let's say here, for example, instead of Australia, we would say it's Denmark. Okay. Whatever. 1802, whatever. Okay. And here the same. Just see, this is just a matter of Denmark and 1802. Okay. These dates we are going to leave them as well. Substantive office is the same. Fund code the same. The internal reference as well should be changed. Let me type here N, and this is the same external reference. Okay. No, this one as well. Denmark. Okay. So let's go now to review and jump into the terms and conditions. This should be the same as well. Sorry, yeah. Supported objects. Sorry, I jumped very quickly. This is not general, yeah. Responsibilities. The 2 roles that we have to click enter for them to appear. And the terms are good. Everything is the same. Let's go. Supported objects. it's not in dimensions. Let's check that we have 32 dBm, that is the external fund, is exactly the same. The sponsor program is exactly the same as well, because these both grants are supposed to support the same program and the same project. Here we don't have to touch anything. Here is the AR1 is correct. So I think that we can save this second grant. Very important. Let's go to the billing tab to check this one. This one, okay. Things that I remember, you see, before when we updated our first resource mobilization grant with the internal order for revenue, we already typed this one. This one is going to be changed because each grant is going to be tracked the revenue in a different internal order. What can we do? We can leave it as it is and remember to update it later, or delete it. And when we will create the internal order for revenue for this grant, we will type the proper number. The amount should be changed as well in case it is different, but this is very, very important, okay? Because as we copied, it was copied with the same internal order number. So I think now we are done. Yeah, billing, dimensions is checked. Yeah, I think everything is properly checked, and we are going to save this second resource mobilization grant. Grant 1813. Okay. Next step, we have to link this grant to a cost collector for revenue before performing the billing. So, still as GM accounts user, we will create with K001 a second revenue internal order. It's appearing by default the last one that we created, so we are good. Description should be the same that we used before, but this is for Denmark. Sorry, profit center 9999, responsible cost center 11125, work start and work end. Sorry, no, this was the 31st of December. Okay. So just let me verify that. Okay, everything is defaulted by the system when we type. Yeah, and now we are going to link this to our second, be careful, sorry, resource mobilization grant. That is the 813. Let me take this and change. And our sponsor program, that is Umoja. So, let's save. Sorry, very important, the country of the beneficiary. Let me just open the fields again. It's Somalia. Very well. And now I think we can, yeah, we have a second number. It's the 19011 065. So, are you following me, guys? We have created the two resource mobilization grants and the two revenue internal orders, one for each grant. What is missing? Now we have to link this revenue internal order that we have just created to our second resource mobilization grant. So let's go to the GM grant and edit it in the billing tab, updating this field with the proper value. Let me check that I did it properly. 1191106. Sorry, this is 11065. 110, yeah. 119, 19011. This one here is, yeah. Now we are 1901165. Perfect. So now we are okay. So we will update this grant. Okay, so now the billing should be performed, but this step is totally compulsory. The change of status of both grants is needed before performing the billing. So let's go and log in as an grants management approver. Just let me check because everything is recorded. Let's log in as an approver, grants management approver, and change the status of both grants. 530, user is the T gap, yeah, and Umoja, okay. So now we are approvers. Daniel is updating you with. So let's go with the GM grantee code and let's edit our first resource mobilization grant, that is the 812. Okay, so let's go to status. I don't know the status. Oh, maybe I didn't log in with the right. Let me check the user I type because I don't see the status. This is very important because if you are not T3, TS, sorry, because it's not edited. Yeah, now that is edited, we can change the status. Anyway, it was good to check because if you are not logged in as an approver, you will never have this available. So I am approver and I am editing. So I'm going to change the status. First status is application in process. This should be done at the right time, But now, as we are avoiding to log in many times, so first it has to be approved by UN or by the donor. In this case, approved by the donor. Okay, next status, approved by UN. And next status, award operational. This is the right one, the one that we need to perform the billing. Yeah. So now, if we go to the billing tab, you see, once the status is the proper one, the system has automatically generated a sales document, a sales order, that will be the one that will be billed to track this revenue in our accounting system, okay, to this income. So let's do the same with the second grant. Okay. Let's do the same with the second grant, GM grant. Let's change the status. This is the 813. Very good. We will edit, and then the change status will be available. Application in process is the first one. Approved by UN or by donor, doesn't matter, one after the other. First by donor, let's say, then by UN. Sorry, approved. Be careful with this change of status because if you click on rejected, this then will not be, let's say, editable anymore. So let's approve it and change status award operational. And if we go to the billing tab, now we will find a second sales order generated in the document and ready to be billed. Okay, so let's go. Let me go to the first one. I could continue working with this one, but I prefer to do it in order. So let's go to do the billing. Before doing the billing, the GM approver has to update the billing plan. Remember this step? We did it with the S-grant as well. So we have to go to extras. Sorry, environment. I cannot read properly. Environment billing plan. Sorry, I jumped something because I assume that it is correct, but you should not assume. The approver should not assume that the sales order is correct. The sales order should be checked first. In this exercise, I just jump very quickly, but the approver should go, check the account assignment, that is the correct one, funded program not relevant, this is our grant, everything is correct, our fund center. So this is what the approver should do before creating the billing plan. And very important as well, the amount and the donor amount. The first one is sorry, I went to the second. I wanted to go to the first, I went to the second. It doesn't matter. So it's the Denmark Prime Minister, and the amount is the correct. Okay, this is what should be done. So let's go now and create the billing plan, environment billing plan. The billing date, let me just check what you have to type in your exercise as well. Just here. I don't know which date. It doesn't matter really, but in this exercise, in reality, you will know very well what you have to do. But so let's put the 1st of, okay, to be coherent with the exercise. The 1st of January 2018, okay? And the amount is 1 million. So it's done. Let's go back and save. Okay, information, yes. And only one step is missing, that is the payment here, due date field, that we have to, we will put it 1 week from now, that is, let's say, 5th of March 2019, okay? 5th of March 2019. So let's save. We have updated our billing plan, and now the approver is going to first unblock the sales document, because if you remember, as it is created automatically by the system, it has to be first unblocked, and then we can proceed with the billing. Okay. So let's go. We are still approvers. So let's go with the T code to unblock. It's GM bill plan status. Let me show it here. Yeah, sorry. I am going to change it to the transaction. Where it is? Okay, I didn't. Okay, so let me type it again. Because I type it wrong. Plan status. Very good. And we are going to type our resource mobilization grant. The 13, I think. I took the second one first. So, okay. 13. And we are going to remember test run to execute this. See? It's okay. The status is okay, but it's blocked. Billing plan items will be unblocked. Perfect. This is what we want. Let's go back. Let's remove the test run and let's execute now. Billing plan items have been properly unblocked. Perfect. So, next step, we have unblocked it. We have to perform the real billing. The ticket to perform the billing is GM. I'm running a little bit because I think it's time to break. But what we will do, if you agree, I'm going to perform the billing of this one grant, and during the break, I will create myself. I will perform the billing for the second grant that is exactly the same, and we will not consume time doing this, that you already know how to do it. Because we have yet to create the M grant and the P grant, so let's do it in this way. So I'm going to build my resource mobilization grant, this 83, sorry, 813, okay. So let's see if we have, yeah, here it is. Let's simulate the billing, and the status initially should be okay, everything should be okay. So let's build the grant. Very good. Very good. So it should be done, and the system is telling us, look for billing documents. Let's go to the log for billing documents. We have this invoice created in the system, 52000 whatever, that has been created in the system. And if we check with, let me write it down, 52000 whatever, 5448. If we go very quickly with FB03, we will see that in fact we have 52000 548. here we are. So the money is, or the income is already tracked in our accounting. We have our revenue account with this credit of $1 million, and the Prime Minister of Denmark has been, debited. So that's it. Let's take 5 minutes breaks. As I mentioned, I'm going to do this exactly the same steps to perform the billing for the second resource mobilization grant. And at 11:10, we will go back to create our main implementation grant and all the missing process in the system. Okay, thanks a lot. Well, before stopping, any question up to here? Because yeah, this already we know how to do it. We saw it with the simple grant.
So far, we haven't had any questions besides the one from Emil. Nothing.
Okay, so 11:10, we will go back. Thank you, guys. Yeah. So let's see. We have created in the program, in the system, our sponsor program and 2 resource mobilization grants. I hope you are back, guys. Are they back, Danny? Can you? Yeah.
Yes, I see most of them still not really active, but I see that at least we still have 21 attendees on the session.
Perfect. We took 5 more extra minutes to the break for you to be able to come back and for me to be able to perform the billing of the second grant. So here we are, and this is the status of our grant or the implementation of our agreement in the system. We have created 2 resource mobilization grants, one for the let's say government of Denmark, one for the government of Australia. We have created 2 internal orders, one for each, link properly these revenue internal orders to each of our grants, and an automatic sales order has been generated by the system. And we have performed the billing to track this income in our revenue account. Okay, we had already the project created in the system because we created it yesterday. So let's go to the next step. The next step is going to be to create a main implementation MIG grant. So let's jump into the system. Again, let me open it here. I was performing the billing, so the billing is properly done for both of them. And where are you? Yeah, here we are. So let's go. We have to log in now again as accounts user because we are grant management accounts user because we are going to create a new grant in our schema or structure of this agreement. Yes, M grant. So now we will be users again. Yeah. And which is the ticket to create a new grant, GM grant. Yeah, very good. We are going to create a main implementation grant M1 dash. You see the way of working is of creating the grant is always the same. We type the type of grant dash 32DDN dash, and we leave the last part empty because the system is going to generate it automatically. Grant type, in this case, is an M1 grant, main implementation grant. Sponsor, which value are we going to type here? The system requires a sponsor, but as you know, this main implementation grant is going to link to resource mobilization grants, 2 or many, in some cases, in this case 2, and each of these resource mobilization grants has its own sponsor. So which one should we type here? We are going to type this value. Yep. That is a dummy. Sorry, no, this is not the dummy. I wrote it. Yes, you see, once it's created, you cannot. Let me check if I can edit the sponsor because I typed it in a wrong way. So let me go back and create a new one. Sorry, because I typed the sponsor in the wrong way. It was not 03 but 30. That was the right one. So let's create a new one. Sorry. It's very important, these steps, because as I mentioned, some fields are not possible to be changed after it's created. And now let's click enter. Okay, grant type not defined. It is. Let me select it again. M1. Yeah. So why is it taking this sponsor? I don't know. It's changing it. Let me type it again. The system is automatically changing. Let me start from the scratch. Exit, because I think it is taking some information yeah, here it's empty. Let's go again. M1 grant. Yeah. Sorry, create. You see, and it's appearing this one. Let me delete it and type it again. This is the one. Tammy. Good. Now we are. As you can see now, this is what I was waiting for. This sponsor, as you can see here, is a dummy one. So it's the one that we have to use when we create this kind of main implementation grant. Yeah, it's Daniel, if you can write it to them, because you will have it in your handouts, but it's important that you know it, because why? We cannot choose any, because this grant is linking several resource mobilization grants. So we will take with this group of sponsors, because this is what we are doing. There is not only one, we have a group. So this is the dummy value that we will use. Let's go now to the authorization group, as we did before. Sorry, authorization group 9009, sorry. Okay. So name of this grant will be protection of civilian, whatever. Yeah, let's remove Australia, because this one is collecting expenditure for both of them. Sorry? Yes, very good question. This sponsor, I guess, is the same.
Yes, sorry, Emil, because I was not online when I asked them. So, Emil is asking whether this number 14000030 it's only applicable for the training environment, or indeed works for production as a real case.
I assume that is the same from in production. Yeah, it's the same in production. So let me double check it. But yes, I assume should be the same, okay? Because this is the number that we were given. So yeah, okay. So let's go. Grant value. Which should be the grant value here? In this case, should be the amount of both of the previous resource mobilization grants together. Each donor was contributing with $1 million. So this one, the value will be $2 million. Okay. Value 2. Let's take the same values. Okay. Let's go. Reference tab. External reference number. I don't know which one. Yes. Let me. Okay. This level of viability control. Internal reference. Again, let me remove Denmark, because this one is for both. Grant value, 2 million. Framework, yes, take this part is, and this one, the internal. This, we have done it several times. Associate expert agreement checkbox should be selected. Substantive office, this one. And fund code is a 32 BD. Sorry, these dates first. Let me type these dates. I don't remember the ones that we selected. Let me check it. Okay, 1st of December. Yeah, let the same one. Okay. And the grant code 32. Sorry, something is missing here. Okay, so we have our general data tab and reference tab populated. Let's go now to check in the responsibilities one if we have both approval for unreleased and released budget. In fact, in the resource mobilization grant, I mentioned that we should check this, but it's not needed because we are not going to have a unreleased or released budget. But the system is adding these two roles by default. Let's go to the budget tab and splitting rule here. So, yeah, it's 0001. Life of grant. Let's go to the billing tab. Billing rule here. What do you think, guys? We should select any specific billing grant? This one is the one that we have to select. Why? Because the billing has already been done for each of the resource mobilization grants, and in this case, this grant is not going to be billed. This grant is only going to track expenses or expenditures related to the previous grant. Okay, so this is not applicable for billing. And let's go to dimensions. Now we have our our mess here. We have to add here the three types of grants. The external one, the 33 DDN. In this case, remember when we created the S grant, that I mentioned that if there is not an implementing partner in place, this grant is not needed. But it's a good thing to add it just in case during the life of the grant some changes happen, and then we have to add it. In this case, we are sure that we are having an implementing partner to perform some part of the project, so we have to add it here. System is locked again because it's asking me for this sponsor class series ID to repopulate our windows. This case, sponsor class series ID is AM1 because we are created a main implementation grant. Okay, now everything is open again. Where are my funds? My funds are here. Where are they? Okay. And we are going to add as well the 62 grant and checking the IDC recovery here. Okay. Wait, where it is 62 DDN. I know, sorry, 62, it doesn't exist. RPS, this is the right, that's why the system is telling me, what are you doing, lady? Okay, so here we are. We will check the IDC recovery. What else? A sponsor program. Here is where we have to link this grant to our sponsor program created specifically for this, to frame all this information. So our sponsor program is Umoja DDN 0100. Okay. Okay. Let me check that it's there and it's the correct one. Yeah, protection of civilians, Somalia. So we are right. Sponsor classes. Here we are. These are the classes, the sponsor classes that are going to be for susceptible, let's say, or they will be object of IDC, relevant of IDC. So we have to select them. In this example, we will select contract services again. Where it is, contract services again. This IDC will be calculated for this AM1 class. As you can see, this prefix of the sponsor class is changing when the type of grant is changing. As you can see, for this is a main implementation MI grant, so it starts with AM1. For the S grant, it was AS1. Okay, just for you to know. And this is defaulted when we select the sponsor class series ID. So our contract services class will be IDC relevant. Our equipment, vehicle, and furniture as well. equipment. This is just an example for this, but this should be properly specified in the donor agreement. And the travel, in this case, we are going to have for this project a lot of trips to be done, so we are going to select the travel as well. One thing, once that I'm scrolling down, as we have an implementing partner involved in this process, we have to select as well the AM1 implementing partner direct cost. This money, when we will budget it, will be the money that will be transferred to the implementing partner for to perform the part of the project that that this implementing partner has been, let's say, thought of or is taking care of. Okay, so we have to select as well this AM1 IP direct implementing partner. You see, we have two. The indirect cost will be as well involved in the process, but of course the indirect cost is not IDC relevant because it's already a cost of the project. So we will select AM1 IP direct. Remember, when we have an implementing partner, we have always to select this sponsor class as IDC relevant. And the last one I was explaining was the travel as an example. So let's scroll down. Travel, where it is. Here it is. So I hope it's clear for all of you. In this window, we just select which of the sponsor classes will be IDC relevant. Okay, so we have done it. This is already pre-selected, and I think we are fine. Now we are going to go to the supported objects. In this screen, we will select the sponsor classes for our fund annex sponsor program that will be allowed for budgeting. Okay, so it's a different concept. Let's go. I have here written and Ndugu asked if there was how to select the supported objects for your specific fund and sponsor program. Is very carefully. That's my answer, because there is no, as we already mentioned, a specific trick. So please find first your fund is 32 DDN. Here it is. Now we will scroll down up to our sponsor program. Sorry, this is scrolling down. And then we will select, here we are, very good. It's Ocha DDN 00100 32 DDN. And we will select our classes that will be budgeted. For these classes, we will, let's say, allocate part of the income coming from the donors. So we are going to select AM1 contract services, the equipment, vehicle, and furniture. Let me check that I did the proper thing. Yeah, highlighted. Okay. IP direct, implementing partner direct, implementing partner indirect, both of them. In this stage, we have to select both of them, the direct and indirect. Why? Because we have to allocate some budget for the, costs that will involve giving part of this project to the implementing partner. Okay? And remember as well that we have to select here, just let me find it out, travel as well. Okay, one sponsor class to collect, let's say, this IDC or this program support costs, and this is the P program, this class. Remember that was compulsory when we have IDC relevant classes involved in our process. So difference from the simple grant here. We have an implementing partner, so we have to select AM1 IP direct cost and AM1 IP indirect cost to be budgeted, okay, and this PSC, XUN to collect their, I unchecked it, all the program support costs that will be involved in this budget when we will, let's say, allocate the budget. Okay, so let's go now to the next screen, overhead cost, to specify to the system this percentage of budget or of money that will be our cost. Let's see. Very careful again. 8 DDN 100. Contracts and services, we will say that the cost will be the 13%. The support cost, let's say, for just let me again. Oh, this is really the equipment, vehicle, and furniture 13%. Let's scroll down. Travel is missing. Okay. Implementing partner, very good. But I don't know if I am. Yeah. Let me. Wow. Here it is. IP direct for our sponsor program. In this case, the cost of, let's say, of passing this part of the project to our implementing partner is not going to be, for this example, 13%, just for you to distinguish what is related to the implementing partner and what is the directly only related with the sponsor classes. So for you to understand this difference, we are going to change the percentage here. Okay. So here, for these costs related to the implementing partner, we are going to say that is at 3% instead of being the 13%. Okay. So the only one is missing, I think, is the travel class. Let me check. This is so tough. Here we are. Travel for our is this one 13%. We are only applying. In fact, we only have here the sponsor classes that we previously selected in dimensions IDC relevant. Okay, so we said here for this, and these classes, IDC is going to be applicable, and then the system is saying, okay, IDC is going to be applicable, but which percentage of IDC? So you have to come here to tell the system the percentage of IDC per sponsor class related to your sponsor program. Let me double check that I did it properly. I repeat it. I changed this amount instead of 3% for you to understand later on, or to easier identify the part of the project that is going to be to the go to the implementing partner. Okay. So here we are. We already populated the indirect rate percentages, and very important, the IDC rule selected, actuals and commitment. What else? Terms and conditions. Terms and conditions. Let's see here. It was IPSAS in this case, unconditional. Here not specified, and here not specified. Sorry. And the report types that we are going, the first and the second, that are the main. Okay, final. Okay. So here we are, and we are going to save our grant. I think all the information that we needed is populated. So let's save it. Okay. Before we move ahead, let me write down my number, M1-32EDN -000397. Okay. So next step, let me change the status, and we will break here to check if you have any question. Now, this grant has been created, but the status is not award operational yet, so the approver has to come and change the status. Let me log in as an approver, because the status has to be award operational before performing the billing in the case of R or S grants, or before releasing the budget in the case of the resource mobilization grant. And we did as well to link this grant to an expenses cost object. We haven't done it yet. We are going to do it, but before we are going to change the status of the grant. Okay. Let's go to the GM grantee code. So M1, sorry, M1 397. Okay, so let's edit and let's go to the change of status. Very important, this type of grant, the M grant, has only one change of status. Remember that for the simple grants or M1 grants, the main implementation grants, we have several stages. First, it was I don't remember the first one. Then we changed it to approved by donor or approved by UN, and then to award operational. This one is let's say, grouping the previous two that we are already created, only change its status to directly award operational. So let's change it, award operational, and let's save. Sorry, okay, in this case, okay, you see? In this case, we required first name or last name of these fields that we didn't give too much importance when we were talking about them. But it's not applicable, so, but we have to type something. In this case, not applicable, but we have to. So, hopefully now, very good. So, we have our main implementation grant in award operational status. Next stage. Let me show you just 1 minute this slide for you not to get lost. Here we are. We have the M grant, but up to this moment, we never said, okay, these two resource implementation grants are linked to this M grant. We didn't do it. Am I wrong? So this is very, very important. This is the next step. We have to tell the system, okay, this M grant is linked to this and this grant. So let's go into the system. As an approver, in fact, we are logging as an approver, and let's link these three grants. How to link the three grants? The link has to start in the M grant. So we go with Tico GM grant. We type our M grant 397 and we edit it. If you realize here in the top part of the screen, we have this relationships button. This is the button that we will use to link these three grants. Okay, so we check there and let's create an, sorry, first of all, let me explain you this screen a little bit. We have three tabs, overview, partners and grants. We have to go to the grants tab. Okay, we are going to create a relationship. So let's click on create and select the relationship type. You see here, you have two types of relationship. In this case, we can link this grant to a pass-through grant. We will do it later on because we don't have any pass-through grant created in our implementation yet, but we are going to create, to link it, sorry, to a resource mobilization grant. So the relationship is set RM. We will type here the first resource mobilization grant that we want to link. It was 812. The valid to and valid, from and valid to, we will take the dates of the life of the grant. Let me first, I think it was 1st of January 2018. So let's do it like this. Up to the end of 2019. Okay, so we have here the relationship that we want to create, and we will click it. So now here you see that we have a grant folder. If we open it, we have link to this grant that we are in the M grant. I repeat this. This is very important because sometimes you don't remember. Okay, where do I have to link? In the R grant? No, the link starts in the M1 grant. So we are in the M1 grant. We are creating relationships. We have already this. Sorry, I navigated to link to the first resort mobilization grant. This is the protection of Somalia for the government of Australia. And now we are going to do the same with a new one. Oh, sorry, I am creating this. So let's overwrite new relationship. Yeah. Now we will type our second one that is with the 103. And we will leave these dates as they are. So we will click on create. This folder is closed, but we have to double check that we have done it properly. Probably I didn't type any description here. Okay, but we have it properly linked now. You see, we have these two resource mobilization grants linked to our M1 grant. Okay, very good. So, very important, let's save. Let's save. And now we have to, once that we have the structure properly created, we have to release part of the budget now that the R grants are linked with the M grants, because remember that the revenue was tracked in the R grants. So now that they are linked, we can take part of this, let's say, revenue and distribute it through the sponsor classes that we have selected in the M grant. We can create the unreleased budget first, if you want, or create or link this grant to the cost object that we will use to track these expenses. But we can do it, it doesn't matter what you do first, but the cost object has to be properly linked to the grant before creating the released budget. This is the condition, okay? So if you agree, we are going to create the unreleased budget first, then we will link this to the cost object, and then we will release the budget. So let's go. Let me save, I already did, and log in now as lost one. Okay. And let me log in as a grant management and release budget user. That is the role that is performing the creation of the unreleased budget. Let's go. 530. Sorry. And release unreleased budget. I think this is one user. Yeah. UBU is UBU, Danny? Can you is UBU 001? Perfect. So it's the proper one. Thank you. So yeah, let's go. Remember the ticket to create the unreleased budget is GM create budget. This process is exactly the same as the one we did for the simple grant, but it's not bad that we see it again, because if you remember, it's not very easy. So we are going to enter budget where? In our M grant 397. Doc GM doc type will be budget donor funds unreleased. Description, protection of civilians in Somalia, and the budget version will be 0. Once we reference, you see, the system, the grant, the system will automatically bring here the sponsor classes that we selected for budgeting. Remember that we were selecting two things: the classes that were IDC relevant and the classes that were going to be budgeted. So the system goes to this grant and say, okay, which classes are going to be budgeted? This, and this. So we'll bring here these classes. What do we have to do now? We are going to work with total amounts. Remember the difference about total amounts and net amounts. In this case, we assume that these quantities that we are going to type are already including the costs. So the system will, will calculate it. So let's go for contract and services. We're going to allocate 1400 this quantity. Sorry, no, something is. Yeah, because we have 2 millions. We have 1 million coming from one donor, and so 200 for this one. So this values. Remember that this is very, very important. Now I will explain to you this IP direct. IP indirect will be 7,000, and for travel we will allocate. Okay, the total are the 2 millions. You see. And now we are going to tell the system. Remember that for this one, we are not typing any amount because this class will collect the IDC for each of these amounts. Okay. So let's propose IDC. Here we are. So the total is the same, and the system is deducting from these amounts the IDC quantity that is summarized here. What can we see here? Just for your, as I mentioned before, it's not easy to see that this the system has deducted the 13% here. But in this case, for example, let's go to the IP direct. In the IP direct, we said that the percentage was the 3%. So what is going to go to the implementing panel? 100,000 dollars. And the 3% will go to this one, to PSC XPU. And you see? What else? IP indirect cost. As you can see here, this amount is the same. Why? Why is this? Because this class was not selected as a subject of IDC. Why? Because it is already a cost related to the implementing partner. So doesn't make sense to say, okay, is the cost of a cost is already a cost, so it was not IDC relevant. So the amount that we are going to budget will go entirely to the implementing partner because it will be a cost related to the implementing partner. Okay, as you can see, it's IP and direct. And this PSC XPUN is collecting all these percentages that we set over these quantities. So I think it's more or less clear again. As I mentioned, this process is a little bit difficult to understand, but with this example again, I hope you can see it clearly. Okay, so let's pre-post. Let's check first and pre-post. Check is complete and pre-post this document. So again, what are we doing here? We are a kind of planning how this budget is going to be distributed through the different classes. So let's pre-post. Okay, pre-posted successfully. I didn't write down the, here it is, in the top. 100, 4 zeros, thank you, Danny. 12910. So this is our unreleased budget document for M1 grant. So let's go very quickly to approve it. Yes, let's log in as unreleased. We are going to approve the unreleased budget, okay? We are not releasing budget yet, and we cannot release budget yet. Why? Because we don't have any cost object link to the main implementation grant for expenditures. So we have to do it, and we are going to do it now as well. So first of all, step by step, let's approve the unreleased budget. This is the let me find it. Unreleased budget approver A001. Yeah, let's go here. very quickly. This I'm not going to go through this again, but because you already know how it works, but I cannot find it here. Really, sorry, I took the release budget. You see, I cannot find my document here, so something is wrong. First thing I did, I checked the user. This is not the right user. This is the released budget, not the unreleased budget approver. So this approver cannot approve. Yes, let me log in again. This is, let me type it from scratch. If not, I will make a mistake, probably. So let me take it. It's the unreleased budget approver. It's T3 TSU D8001. Okay, Umoja 1, 2, 3. So let's go now to approve our unreleased budget. Yeah, here it is, 9010. This is our unreleased budget, and I'm going to review and approve. So it's done. Okay, so next step, very, very important one. We have to link or create a cost object, an internal order, or a WBSC to our M grant to be able to release the budget and start tracking expenditures. Okay. So how to do this? We are going to link it to one WBS element in our project, the project that we created yesterday. So we are going to log in as project approver, because before a WBS element is linked to a grant, this WBS element has to be, let's say, in the proper status. We could say approved, but it's not approved. It's in the proper status. So let's log in as a project approver. Let me take my user. And go and change the status, link it to our grant and change it the status. Remember the T code to deal with projects CJ20 and sorry? The cost object, okay, let me summarize where we are. We need a cost object linked to this grant to track all the expenses, but we are going to use that WBS element from the project that we created yesterday for you to see how everything is related and how the elements have to be linked. So I am not sure that this was the project that we created yesterday. In fact, I think, let me change it. I think it's this one. Is the SB dash 41, I think is the one that we created yesterday. Yeah, great. So I open the one that we created yesterday, and let's say that we are going to link this specific, information campaign. Let me check. Information campaign WBS element to our main implementation grant. What does it mean? That means that when the donors agreed to provide this income to the UN, they said, okay, we want to be part of this Somalia protection of civilian to the information campaign. We want to this money to be invested in this project, and specifically in this information campaign. So let's go. How to link this WBS element with our grant? We have to go here. We saw it yesterday, but we didn't do it. UN assignments. So here we are. We have to type here our grant. That the M, very, very good point. Which grant? Because now we have 3 grants created in the system. Which is the grant in our system, in our structure, that will track the revenues? The M grant. So this is the grant that we have to link to the WBS element, okay? Because we need this WBS element to track our expenses. So we will use the grant that allows the tracking of expenses, okay? So it's the 397, sorry, this is our grant. And our sponsor program is, that's TDN 00100. Okay, so I think that's it. Let me save. So it's done. Let me go again. It's the information campaign. Oh, sorry, very good point. I forgot. Always when we are talking about sponsor programs, you know, we have to reference the country of the beneficiary. I forgot it, totally forgot it, because I was checking the time because we are running out of time. But this is very, very important. And something else, here we have a budget control WBSC that will be usually, as we mentioned before, the top level of the project, because this will allow the budget to be consumed in a more flexible way. So the system is defaulting this funded program here. So we will leave it as it is, but we will link this specific WBSC to our main implementation grant. Okay, so let's save it now. It is saved. So we have properly linked this WBS element to our M grant, and we are going, let me go again, information campaign, to change the status before the budget can be released. This status is changed as well by the project approver. This link can be done by the user as well, but I logged in as an approver and I did both steps together to avoid logging in and logging off. But we are going to change the status. How to change the status of this WB element? I don't know if I mentioned yesterday that if you change the status as a top level, all the statuses under this branch will be changed as well. But you can change the status at the lowest level, and this status will only apply to this WBS element, okay? For example, if I change the status for civilian registration, these two WBS elements under this one will get the status from the parent. So if we want to be safe and we are going to work only with this one, so we will change the status to the last, say the leaves of the tree, the final leaves of the tree. So in this case, we are going to go to information campaign. Let's double click on it, and we are going to change this status. How to change the status? We have to click on edit, status, user status, set, and pass on. This is in the handout. This is difficult to remember. That is everything in the handout. So the first status should be under budget review. It should be the first status. And this status has to be changed in the right order, the same as for the grant. There is an order in the changing of statuses. So the first is under budget release. We have changed it. And I think here, where can we see it? Yeah. Yep. I don't know now where can we see it, but we are going to do a new change that has to be ready for release. Status, user status, set and pass on. We have to have this WBS element ready for release. Okay. So let's save this status. Let's go again. It was information campaign, and here I don't know exactly where this should be checked. Service details. Remember exactly where you could check the status. Oh, sorry, it's here. It's here. The system status, we didn't touch it, but the user status is ready for release. So we are now sure that we can budget this cost object with against this M1 grant. Okay. We have to do something else. Sorry, one more minute, and this is to link this cost object to our sponsor program. Okay? Not only link them together, we have linked this cost object to our grant, but we have to link it as well to our sponsor program. This linking is done by the grants management accounts user. I'm logging with a super user, so I'm going to do it. But imagine that now I am the grants management user, so I'm going to go to the GM program and edit my sponsor program. It's this one. Okay, let me click on the pencil. Where to say to this sponsor program, we have a cost object for expenditures linked to our grant in budget transfer. Remember, we did it exactly the same for the S grant, but we were linking this S grant to one internal order. In this case, we are linking it to one WBS element. So the funds center is 11125, functional area 27AA 0001, and the funded program is the SB 41. Okay, this is the funded program that we have. This is the reference to our project. Now, this is going to give me an error because this funded program has not been automatically generated by the system because it's the training environment. But as we are going to stop here the session, I will do it properly. I will generate a funded program and I will link it. This is the way. So just let me go here very, very fast and check where we are and what we have in front of us. Let me show you. Sorry, because I run, it's 5 minutes. But so recall all that we do. We had our project, and these two donors want to contribute through a grant to this specific project. So let's go. We create one resource mobilization for each one revenue internal order for each one, and we track this income into our system through the billing process. Okay? What have we done? We have created a main implementation grant where we will track the expenses related to this configuration of this donors agreement because they want the reporting on pool expenditures. So we will link, or we have linked, this resource mobilization grants to this implementation grant. We have created the unreleased budget, but before releasing it, we needed to link this grant to a cost object for expenditures. In this example, we have selected a WBS element within the project. We have linked it, and we have linked as well the project to our sponsor program. So that's where we are. So what we have pending, we have to release this budget inside the grant and properly create our P grant for our implementing partner, and of course transfer some money from this M grant to this implementing partner. Okay, so we are going to stop here, guys. I wanted to mention something because, as you can see, this training was aimed for people that already have seen this process in a previous workshop of 2 weeks that we had here in Valencia. But most of you have never seen this process in the system. So we are, of course, delayed, totally delayed, because the things are being explained in a slower way, and I think it's the proper way for you guys to understand what we are doing. So this training was supposed to finish by today. We added an extra session for reporting that is a little bit independent, but it's good that you have it because it's very important, the reporting during the whole process of the grant. But moreover, I think it's important that we will finish this, what we are doing, that we will finish this process, this whole process. So I think we need an extra session to finish this. Anyway, everything is in the handout that you are going to receive, and if you follow it, you can do the exercise completed by your own, by yourself. But I think it's good that we see the creation of the pre-grant, how it's linked to the M grant. All these things are quite important. So if you want. We can do a new session on Monday, because for some missions tomorrow is not a working day. So on Monday morning we can finish the process, and on Tuesday we will have this reporting session. Easy. Sorry, because it's taking longer than we expected, but I think if you are interested, it's very good that you see it. So this is what I can tell you guys. We will go back on Monday at 10. You can start doing the exercise up to the point that we covered up to today, or even try to finish it by yourselves. And if you have doubts, we can deal with them on Monday. And on Tuesday, we will have the last, I hope, session for reporting. So any question up to this point related to this extension of the training? What do you think?
So far, besides the questions that I raised before, no one has made any comment. We think that it might be due to they were very attentive to this very lengthy and sometimes a bit tricky process. So we do have a couple of hands raised. One is from Abdul. That's what I see, but I haven't received any question in the chat. So feel free, Abdul, to talk to us offline in case you have any comments or question as well. As Sol was saying before, it's needed an extra session. Nevertheless, you do have the documentation in exercise 3 in case you want to go on with the exercise, and on top of that, if I'm not wrong, so you will be having a support session the day after in order to kind of like a Q&A session, so you can answer some questions related to the whole session and the exercises in particular. And on top of that, at the end, we'll do a wrap-up with the reporting part. So over to you, but as Sol was saying, you can contact us online in case that you don't feel comfortable or you cannot send your questions through the chat right now. Over to you, Sol.
Okay, thank you, Danny. Very important as well. We will have a session just for you to question and answer while you are performing or doing the exercises, or related to the theory that we covered in a very fast way. So I think it's time to finish by today. Sorry for taking your time, and for those of you who can attend, I will wait for you on Monday. We will finish the process. For those of you that cannot attend, please, if you are interested that you cannot attend because initially the training was not scheduled in this way, please let us know and we will try to find a solution, okay?
Looks like you guys are getting active now. That we're getting towards the end. Answering your question, some of you asked why we are not having a session tomorrow. As Sol was explaining before, some missions are, Friday is not a working day for some missions, so that's why we want to move the next session to next week. On the other hand, then some other participants are asking, I think these new attendees are new, but they're requesting the PowerPoint presentation. Okay.
But which one? This one with the scenario?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe we may want to, kind of like send another round of documentation, especially to the guys that are just joined in today or yesterday. So don't worry, we will resend all the documents and exercises as well.
Okay, and once again, guys, if you have any concern to come on or to attend next week and you are interested, let us know, because if you are interested, you will get the training, or we will find a way for you, or to help you, or to assist you.
I'm sorry I missed this one. You're right. We are recording the sessions because they see the icon there. So the only thing is that we do have to convert to MP4, and that takes quite a while, like 3-4 hours. So we are converting to MP4 all sessions, and we will upload all of them in our YouTube page, so you can go over there and go through all the sessions again. Okay,
guys. So I think it's time to finish. Thanks a lot for your patience, because it's very long, and hopefully see you on Monday. Have a nice
weekend.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.